Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Strong kiss of female CEO after drinking, calling me to meet parents the next day. As soon as he graduated from university, Yang Fan relied on his status as a graduate from a prestigious university to enter a top investment group. After 6 months of market layout, the new energy industry has just exploded. Yang Fan made a big profit for the company through this. On the night when the beautiful CEO Shen Yan held a banquet to celebrate his achievements, he lost his composure after drinking and forced the beautiful CEO to kiss him. Returning home and waking up, Yang Fan felt anxious and uneasy. Shen Yan is the investment queen with billions in her hands, and her aloof and arrogant personality is well known throughout the company. Why don't you feel cold when you kiss her yourself? After careful consideration, Yang Fan still bravely surrendered himself. Yang Fan. Sorry Mr. Shen, I will take responsibility for last night's incident. Shen Yan. Are you sure you want to take responsibility? Yang Fan nodded and waited for Shen Yan to be sentenced to death. At this moment, Shen Yan spoke up and said, "Come home with me to meet my parents." Workplace Suite System article, welcome to read. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1 is a disaster. Kissing the female CEO after drinking. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Donghai City. At 9 p.m., in a private room of a high-end restaurant. A group of young white-collar workers wearing suits and ties, working in Goldman Sachs Capital Investment Department, gathered here to celebrate. Especially tonight, the person hosting the banquet is their company's beautiful CEO Shen Yan, and everyone's mood is very high. After a while of drinking and eating, everyone got drunk and prepared to leave. Manager, why don't we withdraw? Look, Xiaofan is already drunk. Yes, manager. If you drink more, you won't be able to handle it. I have to take Xiaofan home. 2 white-collar workers, one on the left and one on the right, supported a young and handsome boy who had already started to punch drunk and shouted. The boy's name is Yang Fan, and he is the absolute focus of tonight's celebration banquet. Due to Yang Fan's keen investment sense, he laid out the new energy market 6 months in advance, which has enabled the company to make a lot of money recently. So tonight, the beautiful CEO personally hosted a banquet to entertain him, and a group of elites and managers from the investment department also benefited from his privileged companionship. Upon seeing Yang Fan drunk and unconscious, manager Wen Yuan dared not neglect him. He opened his phone in a daze and glanced at the time, only to see that the beautiful CEO Shen Yan, who had left for the restroom, had not returned for a long time. I thought Shen Yan had already withdrawn first, so I decided on my own path. Okay, I guess Mr. Shen has left early. The others will take their belongings and leave with me. Xiao Li and Xiao Zhang, you are responsible for safely sending Yang Fan home, understand? No problem, manager. Li Cheng and Zhang Ji nodded and watched as Wen Yuan and other colleagues left. After everyone had left, the two of them carefully looked at the private room and saw that no one had left anything. They then supported the heavy Yang Fan and prepared to leave. At this moment, Yang Fan suddenly broke free from the two and shouted drunkenly. Let go of me, I need to pee. The two of them suddenly became happy. I thought Yang Fan was already drunk, but I didn't expect him to know how to pee. It seems that Yang Fan is not too drunk either. Alright Xiaofan, can we go back and pee again? Li Cheng quickly pulled him and said. Unexpectedly, Yang Fan would release water on the spot if he untied his belt. No way. I need to pee now. Oh my god. This is okay. Zhang Ji looked embarrassed and said, no, don't pee here. I'll take you to the restroom. I'll go by myself, you don't need to worry. Yang Fan waved his hand directly and ran to the restroom door, swaying and kicking, and rushed in. Hey! Don't even want me to help you, this kid is quite stubborn. Alright, if he can find the restroom, it means he's still drunk. Let's go downstairs and wait for him, and also take a cigarette. Just now, Mr. Shen was so scared that I couldn't smoke that I was almost suffocating. Right. I'll have one too. As soon as the two of them summed up, they didn't care about Yang Fan, so they smiled and left the private room with their belongings in hand. At this moment, Yang Fan burst into the restroom and immediately opened the gate to drain the water. He even gave a cold shiver while drunk, causing his urine to form an S-shaped curve. But to my surprise, there was still someone in the bathroom, so I immediately took a deep breath. Damn it! What is he doing? With a soft reprimand, Shen Yan stood in front of the wash basin, stunned. She never expected to come into the restroom herself, but when her relatives suddenly arrived, she had to take some trouble to clean up. Just as he had changed his hygiene supplies and was about to wash his face and go out, suddenly someone broke in. And even in front of her, this is something she has never encountered before. But at least Shen Yan is someone who has seen big scenes before, and talks about a business worth billions without blinking an eye. So she quickly regained her senses and discovered that the intruder was Yang Fan. It seems that Yang Fan is still drunk. Just a few drinks, you're so drunk. If you don't know how to drink, just say it. Really? Thinking that Yang Fan was unintentional and had made contributions to the company, Shen Yan had no choice but to blame him for it. Then she walked forward with a cold face and waved to Yang Fan, saying, "Hey! Could you go out first? I didn't see this. Mr. Shen. She is really beautiful. I really want to." Yang Fan was as drunk as a dream, immediately attracted by Shen Yan's heavenly sound. Especially Shen Yan's actions made him dream that Shen Yan was acting coquettishly towards him. Immediately, with a surge of alcohol, he pounced directly at Shen Yan. Damn Yang Fan. He dares to kiss me. Being knocked down against the wall, Shen Yan froze completely. Since she had never experienced this before, she could only curse in her heart at a loss. Be reckless and disrespectful in front of yourself. This guy dares to take advantage of himself. Waiting for Yang Fan, I can't spare you. Suddenly, Yang Fan's slurred voice could be heard in her ear. Shen Yan, you are so beautiful. You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Actually, after my first day at work, I fell in love with you. I'm really happy that you can treat me to dinner and drink today. Shen Yan, can you be my girlfriend, okay? What? He has always had a crush on me. Is this confessing to me? I don't know why, but this statement had a powerful destructive effect on Shen Yan's heart. It said that after drinking, she speaks the truth, but she doesn't believe that Yang Fan is joking. So for a moment, she actually softened her heart towards Yang Fan. What should we do? Should I push him away now? Xiaomeng has opened a new book and pleads with all the bosses for their support and feedback. I kneel here and thank you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Shen Yan, be my girlfriend. You are listening at novel full.audio. It has to be said that Yang Fan's confession after drinking hit Shen Yan's pulse. As a 28-year-old female powerhouse who has achieved great success in her career, her romantic life is completely blank. Not to mention dating, even holding hands with guys has never happened. So she has always longed for the appearance of love, but there is no man around her who can catch her eye, so she has been single for so many years. But at this moment, Yang Fan suddenly broke into her emotional world. She also won her most precious first kiss, which completely shattered her psychological defense. Through this, she carefully examined Yang Fan, who was being presumptuous towards her, and her view of Yang Fan was also different from before. This guy is not bad looking, he's tall and his skin is also very fair and tender. I'm not very old, I have such investment vision at the age of only 24. He also has a good figure, it seems that he often exercises. No wonder everyone in the company praises him for his abilities. He is indeed a person as they know. Unfortunately. Hey. Shen Yan thought of this and a hint of sadness appeared on her face. If she had met a boy like Yang Fan a few years earlier, she might have been tempted. But now she has already passed the age of youthful restlessness, and it's not something that can be moved with just a little sweet words. Especially this year, she is 28 years old, while Yang Fan is only 24 years old, with a difference of up to 4 years. If I were with Yang Fan, what is this not a sibling relationship? Women are all older than men, and when they are no longer young and beautiful at the age of 40, Yang Fan has just entered the golden age of men. How can I tie Yang Fan's heart then? Do you rely on money? Shen Yan felt that it was of little use. Yang Fan's personal abilities had already begun to emerge, and even if he couldn't achieve his current achievements in the future, they would definitely not be too bad. And she believes that relationships maintained by money are never reliable. So this age-mismatched sibling relationship is an unacceptable challenge for Shen Yan. She can't afford to pay or play, and doesn't want her feelings to be just a child's play. After a few moments of silence, Shen Yan noticed that Yang Fan, who was lying on top of her, seemed to have stopped, and then pushed Yang Fan away. Enough Yang Fan, wake up for me. That's all for today's matter. No, you haven't promised to be my girlfriend yet. Yang Fan reached out drunkenly and pulled her into his arms, showing off his drunkenness. Little rascal. If it weren't for knowing that Yang Fan was drunk, Shen Yan would really want to slap him. She suppressed her anger and patted Yang Fan's face, saying, "Wake up, can't you do this? We're not meant to be together, and I don't want to delay you either. I don't want anyone except you." Yang Fan, the scoundrel, smiled and kissed her cheek again. "Shen Yan, you are so kind. I will love you for a lifetime." Bold. He actually came back. Shen Yan touched her warm cheeks, and couldn't help but feel 2 blushes. She softened her heart again and said, "All right, Yang Fan, you're drunk. Don't bring this up again, okay?" "No, I'm not drunk. You need to give me an answer now." "You're not drunk. You treat me like this, don't you know how rude it is to a girl?" "Shen Yan, it's because I love you and like you that I feel so impulsive. I know I don't deserve you, so I dare to confess to you tonight when I'm drunk. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't dare to do it for my whole life." "Is that so? Does he really like me so much?" Shen Yan's pretty face paused, lost in thought. But just as she thought Yang Fan was coming true, a sentence suddenly popped out of Yang Fan's mouth. Come on, finish this drink and have one more. No one wants to stand and leave tonight. I'm dizzy. They're all drunk and say they're not drunk. Forget it. Let's wait for him to sober up before we talk." Shen Yan shook her head helplessly and immediately helped Yang Fan to sit on the toilet to the side. "Alright, that's it for today. Whether you're real or fake, I need to think carefully. You just sit here and I'll call someone to help you, okay?" But just then, Yang Fan suddenly pounced and hugged her thigh. "Do you want to be my girlfriend or not? You spread out, what's this like? The floor is so dirty." Shen Yan kicked her feet with tears in her eyes. But Yang Fan was like a monkey, holding her thighs tightly and unable to pull them out. "No, you answer me now, otherwise I won't let go even if I die." "Rogue, how could you force someone to make such a decision? If it's not loose, then it's not loose. Oh my goodness. Can't we leave now if we don't agree?" Shen Yan's forehead was wrinkled into a black line and was about to be crushed by Yang Fan. But she knew she wouldn't agree now, afraid that the opportunity to be friends with Yang Fan would be lost in the future. It is impossible for her to hastily agree. Finally, taking a deep breath, Shen Yan gently patted Yang Fan's head like a big sister and said, "Okay, let me go back and consider before answering you. Can you let go of me first and go home and sleep well?" As soon as she finished speaking, Yang Fan actually let go and said, "Okay, then I'll go to bed first. When I wake up, you'll answer me." After speaking, Yang Fan immediately hugged the nearby toilet and fell asleep. "I'll go." Surprisingly so obedient. "This means you can sleep right away." Shen Yan shook her head and looked at Yang Fan, who was crazy about drinking, both angry and amused. However, fearing that Yang Fan might cause trouble again, she quickly grabbed her bag and ran out of the bathroom, heading straight out of the private room. Coincidentally, seeing that Yang Fan had not come downstairs for a long time, Li Cheng and Zhang Ji finished smoking and came back to find Yang Fan. They collided head-on with Shen Yan and collectively saluted. "Hello Mr. Shen. Mr. Shen, why are you here? Didn't you leave? Have you left?" Shen Yan was momentarily taken aback, then blushed and said in a panic, "Yes. I left, but I forgot to take my bag. You can go and see Yang Fan. He seems to be drunk in the restroom." "Ah. Did they all fall down? Let's go take a look, Mr. Shen. Goodbye." Without much thought, the two of them were immediately startled and rushed towards the private room. How got through it? They didn't see anything, did they? With a long sigh of relief, Shen Yan no longer hesitated and quickly went downstairs to drive away. When she returned home and finished taking a shower, she lay on her side in bed, holding the teddy bear in deep thought. For some reason, her mind is now filled with the figure of Yang Fan. And the thought of Yang Fan loving himself to the death, yet persistently clinging to his shameless appearance. She unconsciously curled up a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. What should we do? I have to give him an answer tomorrow. Do I want to be his girlfriend? But he's only 24 years old, this is not a sibling relationship. Siblings have never had a good ending. Are you really suitable for him? This unforgettable night made Shen Yan suffer from insomnia. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Sobering up after drinking and deciding to surrender. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The next morning. In the courtyard of the municipal government office, in a small room facing the sun. Yang Fan seems to have a lingering hangover and is still drowsy. It wasn't until his mother Li Xiaolan's voice rang in her ears that she woke him up. Wake up Xiaofan, you still have to go to work today. If you don't go to work again, you will be late. Going to work. Yang Fan blinked his eyes, then rubbed his temples with a headache and sat up from the bed. His gaze was empty and lifeless, and he blurted out, "Mom, what time is it? What more time is it?" Wearing a kitchen apron and dressed as a housewife, Li Xiaolan stood at the door of the room and joked. "Son, if you can't drink, don't drink. You're so drunk that you've forgotten everything. Fortunately, Xiaoli and Xiaozhang brought you back last night, otherwise you might have to sleep on the street. This is really up to your dad, he has a bad reputation. Did I get drunk last night?" This statement made Yang Fan's mind clear a bit and reminded him of last night's incident. But upon careful consideration, he felt that something was wrong again. No, didn't I be with Shen Yan last night? It seems like she even kissed Shen Yan. How could I have been brought back by Lao Zhang and Lao Li? Is it just a dream? Yes, it must be a dream. It's fortunate that it was a dream, otherwise if I really kissed Shen Yan, I would have died. Just as Yang Fan was facing a life after the disaster, Li Xiaolan suddenly walked over to the bed and sat down, giving him a rather ambiguous wink. Hey, son, please be honest and tell me, did you have a girlfriend? No way. Yang Fan immediately shook his head and retorted. Where did you get this lipstick mark on your clothes? Don't say it was accidentally touched, Mom is not so easy to deceive. Seeing that he didn't admit it, Li Xiaolan immediately picked up the white shirt he had changed into last night and placed the lipstick mark on the collar in front of him to confront him. I'll wipe it. Surprisingly, there are lipstick marks. And this color, why is it so similar to the one Shen Yan usually rubs? Suddenly, Yang Fan was confused for a moment. Then he quickly picked up his shirt and smelled it. Sure enough, it still smelled of perfume Shen Yan used to spray on it. He has smelled this fragrance countless times on Shen Yan and will never admit it wrong. Especially this Chanel N Degree 5 perfume is very classic, and Shen Yan is the only one in the company. What is it that I haven't had intimate contact with Shen Yan? Is it didn't you dream last night? Did you really kiss Shen Yan? Thinking of this, Yang Fan's whole body trembled. What an international joke. Who is Shen Yan? That's the beautiful CEO of Goldman Sachs Capital. A queen of investment with billions in her hands, her aloof and arrogant personality is well known throughout the company. I heard that a female secretary lost Shen Yan's speech at a meeting last month and was directly fired by Shen Yan. Can such a strong woman afford to offend herself? Don't you want to be cold yourself? Hey! I knew I wouldn't drink anymore. I guess Shen Yan is thinking about how to torture me now. Yang Fan secretly smiled bitterly and shook his head, unable to help but regret last night's impulsive drunkenness. Son, who is this woman? Is she beautiful? How old are you? How long have you been together? At this moment, Li Xiaolan saw the change in his expression and immediately probed with a smile. Without my mom, I really don't have a girlfriend. Yang Fan quickly waved his hand and stopped, then quickly picked up his clothes and put them on. I checked the time and it's almost 9 o'clock now. I need to hurry to work first. Otherwise, if you are late, you will probably have to let Shen Yan seize the opportunity even more. Look how scared you are, Mom won't blame you. Actually, Mom is an open-minded person. Although you have only graduated from college for over half a year, it's time for you to start dating. Take a look at your high school classmates. Some of your children have already made soy sauce, and you are still alone. Even if you say it out loud, Mom will embarrass you, kid. Li Xiaolan didn't take it seriously, thinking that Yang Fan was afraid of blaming him for his early love, so she earnestly comforted him with a few words. I'll go. Mom, this is urging marriage. Yang Fan frowned slightly, not wanting to restrict his rambling with Li Xiaolan. After putting on his clothes, he immediately said, Mom, I'll go to work first. Let's talk about anything tonight. Then he quickly put on his shoes and ran out of the house, taking a taxi and rushing to the company. Hi. Let's just talk, I'm sorry about that. I really don't know which girl is interested in this silly kid. You need to investigate carefully at night. Looking at Yang Fan's departing figure, Li Xiaolan curled her lips and revealed a wicked smile. At this moment, sitting in the taxi, Yang Fan lowered his head and looked at the time on his phone, lost in thought. What should I do? It seems that Shen Yan was very angry last night. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left myself alone and asked Lao Li and Lao Zhang to take me home. And if she pretends that nothing happened, Shen Yan is likely to think she did it on purpose. With Shen Yan's personality, I am definitely very upset about this challenge today. After a moment of silence, Yang Fan felt a chill in his heart and made a decision. Hey, forget it. Let's surrender ourselves. Anyway, pretending to be foolish is a death, and facing it calmly is also a death. It's better to honestly explain to Shen Yan, perhaps there is still a glimmer of hope. How could it be said that he got drunk last night? It was also an unintentional move. Shen Yan couldn't argue with a man who was drunk. Yes, yes. I can only take a gamble. After making the decision, Yang Fan felt too naive again. Talk about feelings with a cold-blooded capitalist woman. Can we win this bet? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Shen Yan is urged to get married, and Yang Fan appears. You are listening at novel full.audio. At exactly 9 o'clock in the morning. Shen Yan continued to work at the company as usual. However, due to last night's experience, she didn't sleep well all night and looked very dazed. Even after the elevator reached the 25th floor, she unknowingly got off the elevator and walked straight into the investment department office hall. Hello Mr. Shen. Good morning, Mr. Shen. Good morning, Mr. Shen. Her appearance immediately caught the attention of everyone in the investment department. Everyone also put down their work and raised their heads to salute. Well, big. Good morning everyone. Immediately, Shen Yan regained consciousness and reluctantly greeted everyone with a smile. Then her heart was filled with a flurry of little deer. What's going on? Why did you run to the investment department? Shouldn't we go to the CEO's office on the 32nd floor? Hey! It's all because of that stinky young fan, who caused me to lose my mind. After shaking her head helplessly, Shen Yan didn't rush to leave and thought that everyone had come, just to see what attitude Yang Fan had towards her. After all, Yang Fan was drunk last night. I don't know what Yang Fan will be like when he wakes up today. Will you still love yourself to the death like last night? If that's the case, he's just playing with himself for real. I can also seriously consider whether to be his girlfriend. Shen Yan carefully scanned and found that there was no figure of Yang Fan in the office. I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. Report to Mr. Shen, this is the statement from the restaurant last night. Would you like to take a look at it? If there are no issues, I will go to the finance department for reimbursement. At this moment, Zhang Ji walked up with a bill and respectfully said. Report it. Shen Yan took the statement and glanced at it before casually agreeing. I have no intention of seeing how much I spent last night. Okay, then I'll go to Mr. Shen. Zhang Ji nodded and immediately turned around to leave. Suddenly, Shen Yan stopped him and said, Wait, where's Yang Fan? Why didn't he see anyone else? Mr. Shen, do you have something to do with him? Zhang Ji scratched his head and curiously forgot to look at Shen Yan, thinking whether to tell the truth or not. After all, Yang Fan has not come to the company yet, so he estimates that Yang Fan is late. Fearing that Shen Yan would blame Yang Fan, he decided to help Yang Fan block the tide first. No, it's okay, I just casually asked, thinking that he was drunk last night, so it's better to rest at home today. Shen Yan's pretty face turned red, afraid that Zhang Ji might notice something. Quickly turning his head, his gaze dodged and turned to one side, saying faintly. So Shen always thinks this way. After all, Xiaofan is fortunate enough to receive special care from Mr. Shen. Zhang Ji envied him for a moment and honestly replied, Mr. Shen, Xiaofan really didn't come to work. He's probably still drunk now. You don't know how drunk he was last night. When Lao Li and I went back to the restroom to find him, it was really unbearable. Scary. Unbearable. How miserable is it? Shen Yan's heart trembled, worrying once again about the revelation of her relationship with Yang Fan. Hi. It's so tragic. When we went in, he took off his shirt and cried bitterly on his face, saying things like, Don't leave, I can't leave you, I love you, and so on. Ah. Is that so? Did he say he loves anyone? As soon as these words were spoken, Shen Yan felt an additional sense of guilt in his heart. I didn't expect Yang Fan to be so heartbroken when he left last night. Although Yang Fan was drunk, his love for himself is truly a testament to heaven and earth. So, I guess some woman dumped Xiaofan. I heard Xiaofan had never been in a relationship before, so it seems that he was hurt deeply this time. No wonder he drank so much alcohol last night, Zhang Ji analyzed arrogantly. Isn't it? Yang Fan has never been in a relationship before. Surprisingly, he is a pure young Jing Tai. Shen Yan breathed a sigh of relief and a satisfied smile curled up at the corner of her mouth. Then he waved and said, "Okay, if he's not happy, let him rest a little longer. I'll approve of today's vacation for him." After speaking, she didn't hesitate any longer. Suddenly, her mood improved and she turned around, carrying her LV bag, and left the investment department. Hey! Who said Mr. Shen is cold-blooded? Isn't that quite human-like? Just who dumped Xiaofan? It seems like asking is enough. Zhang Ji muttered a few words and then took the statement to the finance department to report the expenses. A few minutes later, Shen Yan returned to the CEO's office and lost interest in work. She sat on a spacious and high-end imported sofa and fell silent. She now has a comprehensive understanding of Yang Fan. He is handsome, has outstanding abilities, and is also a pure young lady. The most important thing is that Yang Fan is still focused on himself and has only loved himself. This kind of man is really extinct now. So she felt like she should reconsider her relationship with Yang Fan. But what about sibling love? Does this really have a future? Should I agree to be his girlfriend? Suddenly, as soon as the phone rang, Shen Yan was pulled back to her senses. She picked up her phone and saw that it was her father calling, so she respectfully answered the call. "Hey, what's up, Dad?" Yan, is it convenient for you now? Dad has something to tell you." Her father Shen Xinghai's affectionate voice came from the receiver. "Convenient, if you have anything to say, Dad," Shen Yan nodded. "It's like this, you're not young anymore. Your mother and I helped you find a partner. Why don't you take some time to meet today?" "Ah. Do you want me to go on a blind date?" Shen Yan was immediately stunned, not expecting the second elder to come up with such a trick. "Yeah, you're 20.8 years old. If you don't get married, you'll be an old girl. Isn't your mother and I also worried about you?" "Dad, why are you in a hurry?" "I'm not in a hurry. Look, Dad is caring about you, you're just so impatient." "I can't be impatient, I won't go on a blind date anyway." "Nonsense, it's just nonsense. You said you haven't had a boyfriend these years, and you haven't done anything to introduce you. What are you trying to do? You want to be an old lady for a lifetime. No wonder no one is chasing you now. Who can bear your bad temper?" "I have a bad temper." Shen Yan's angry eyebrows tightened, not expecting her father to see her like this. "Who stinks if you don't have a bad temper? As the saying goes, there are 3 ways to be unfilial and have no offspring. Anyway, I put my words here. If you don't go on a blind date today, you should obediently find a boyfriend, otherwise you won't call me Dad in the future." After speaking, Shen Xinghai on the other end of the phone hung up angrily, not giving her a chance to refuse. "Dad! Dad!" Shen Yan wanted to say something more, but was stopped by a beep sound of hanging up. Then she burst into a bitter smile. Dad is really outrageous. There is no one who forces oneself to fall in love. Do you really think your boyfriend would just look for him? Do you have the ability to give me one now? At that moment, the office door was suddenly pushed open, and Yang Fan walked in with a sunny and handsome face. "Mr. Shen, I want to talk to you. Xiaomeng has opened a new book and pleads with all the bosses for their support and feedback. I kneel here and thank you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Meeting parents at home. Confirm the romantic relationship. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Yang Fan. How did he come? For some reason, upon seeing Yang Fan appear, Shen Yan felt a flurry of small deer in her heart. She didn't dare to look at Yang Fan, and her gaze dodged as she turned to one side. Are you sober? Don't you want to take a break? Mr. Shen wants to give himself a break. Damn it. This is not to be cool, what is it? I guess this vacation should be very long, it's quite long. Faced with Shen Yan's aloof demeanor, Yang Fan felt a little more nervous. However, on the way here, he had already figured out how to turn himself into Shen Yan. Especially now that Shen Yan seems to have made a decision, he doesn't want to waste his breath. I made my own death, but even with tears in my eyes, I must endure it. So he strode forward and came to Shen Yan, bowing his head to admit his mistake. Sorry Mr. Shen, I will take responsibility for last night's incident. Responsible? Shen Yan suddenly smiled. I didn't ask him to take responsibility. What kind of responsibility does he have? Do you really think that kissing yourself is your boyfriend? But seeing that Yang Fan has already made a statement, Shen Yan feels that it's not enough not to face it. Especially when her eyes rolled, she remembered what her father had just asked her to find a boyfriend. Don't you happen to have a ready-made one? So Shen Yan took a deep breath and already had an idea. Slowly lifting his head, he questioned, Are you sure you want to take responsibility? Yang Fan nodded and waited for Shen Yan to be sentenced to death. Unexpectedly, Shen Yan said, Then you can accompany me home to meet my parents. Okay, I'll see you, I'll definitely see you. Yang Fan nodded quickly without hesitation, afraid to make a rebuttal. But as soon as he finished speaking, he realized something was wrong. What? Go home and meet your parents. Did you hear me right? After a slight pause, Yang Fan raised his head and said curiously, Mr. Shen, what are you saying? I didn't hear you clearly. Damn it. Are you still being good after getting a discount? Shen Yan immediately gave Yang Fan a displeased look and said seriously again, I said. Call you. Accompany me. Go home. See your parents. Wokeo. What does this mean? Isn't it that I was fired? Why did I just meet my parents? Although Yang Fan couldn't believe it, he heard it clearly this time. However, he was still very clear about his own weight. After last night's incident, Shen Yan fell in love with him at first sight, and even if he killed him, he didn't believe it. So he quickly chuckled and said, Don't make trouble with Mr. Shen, this joke is not funny at all. Are you joking? Shen Yan grinned coldly, wanting to slap Yang Fan. Marriage is a big deal, how can one joke about it? Especially when she asked Yang Fan to meet her parents, she also wanted to see their attitude. After all, even if she can accept this sibling relationship, can her own parents? With my parents' domineering personality, I would definitely not agree. So she wants to wait until Yang Fan takes care of her parents first. Only after passing this level can she consider whether she can pass the threshold of brotherly love. And she is a very traditional and filial girl, hoping to receive support and blessings from both parents in terms of love and marriage. Only in this way can our future love life be harmonious and loving. Otherwise, without the blessings of her elders, even if she and Yang Fanxiang walk together, they cannot go far. Don't you want me to be your girlfriend? You can decide whether to go or not. Finally gritting his teeth fiercely, Shen Yan finally fixed his gaze on Yang Fan and cast a serious gaze. Isn't it? I just got drunk and talked nonsense last night. Is Mr. Shen really here? What kind of luck did you have to step on? Yang Fan was both surprised and delighted, but now he fully understood Shen Yan's attitude. And he did fall in love with Shen Yan for a long time, but he never imagined that this day would come. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up with a smirk. Why are you laughing? Are you going or not? Shen Yan immediately glared at Yang Fan and scolded him when he noticed his smug expression. She knew that Yang Fan would do this. Even if you get a discount, still be good. This guy's probably going to have his little tail curled up. Go, of course I will, then you have agreed to be my girlfriend. Yang Fan nodded desperately, the fool didn't go. What the hell? Why did we talk about this again? Isn't it good to meet parents first? Is there a difference between being a couple now or not? Shen Yan became a bit serious and said, let's talk about this after you meet my parents. I've seen my parents now. On behalf of Mr. Shen, you accepted me. Can't you agree to be my girlfriend? Accepting is one thing, whether to be your girlfriend or not is another thing. Shen Yan turned her head away and expressed her position. Indeed, she doesn't dislike Yang Fan in her heart. But she never crossed the threshold of that sibling relationship. Think about being with a young Zheng Tai who is 4 years younger at the age of 28. I guess others will say that their old ox eats tender grass. She can't afford to lose this face. But Yang Fan didn't agree, thinking that Shen Yan was being reserved. Women, especially outstanding beauties like Shen Yan, are very face-saving. So we must give her a reason to borrow a donkey, so that she can fulfill her wish and save face. Thinking of this, Yang Fan immediately had an idea and held on to Shen Yan's gentle little hand, saying affectionately. How about this, Mr. Shen? You promise to be my girlfriend first, and give me another month to try to date me privately. If you don't like me this month, we can break up anytime. If you think I'm pretty good, how about we officially announce our relationship again? Why did you get started? Rogue. Shen Yan blushed and wanted to shake her hands to break free. It can be found that Yang Fan has tightly grasped his own small hand, so he can only follow Yang Fan. Anyway, I haven't been taken advantage of by Yang Fan before. Compared to last night, holding hands is just a small trick. Not refusing is considered tacit approval. Hands are so smooth, Yang Fan feels cool. However, upon tasting Yang Fan's words, Shen Yan was somewhat tempted. As long as her relationship is not publicly disclosed for the time being, she actually does not oppose contact with Yang Fan. Otherwise, if Yang Fan took advantage of her now, she would have kicked him away long ago. And for a month, she believed she knew Yang Fan well enough and was certain that this sibling relationship had a future. No one will know if they don't like Yang Fan and break up again. This way, no one will say that their old cow eats tender grass. Finally, Shen Yan made a decision and shyly lowered her head to peck at her head. Okay. Okay, do as you say. Xiaomeng has opened a new book and pleads with all the bosses for their support and feedback. I kneel here and thank you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Mr. Shen, I want a love hug. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Coming again. Oh my goodness. This is my own office. How could he do this? Shen Yan instantly suffocated. However, Yang Fan is not a person who can make progress. He was well aware that Shen Yan's ability to accept himself now was completely overwhelmed by last night's accident. Just kidding. This beautiful CEO is a cold-blooded female capitalist. Will her brain be worse than that of an average girl? If you push Shen Yan into a hurry, make him calm down about himself. I'm afraid it's impossible for me to have any further relationship with Shen Yan. So he quickly arrived and got away from Shen Yan's mouth, sending her away. Sorry Mr. Shen, I'm too happy and excited. I never thought I could make you my girlfriend, it's the happiest thing in my life. You shouldn't blame me, right? Is that all for joy and excitement? Can't we change the way? This guy's mind has been thinking about something dirty all day. Shen Yan rolled her eyes in frustration. But Yang Fan's words also touched her heart. Thinking of Yang Fan being so stubborn and clinging to him last night, I cried and felt heartbroken after leaving. It seems that Yang Fan really loves himself to the bone. It's just that. Anyway, it's not the first time, just forgive him once. Otherwise, he must have thought he had a small belly and chicken intestines. No more next time, Shen Yan immediately scolded coldly. Yes, at most in the end, I just hold hands, starting from the most basic. Yang Fan quickly nodded and grabbed her little hand excitedly. Fuck you. I just promised to be your girlfriend, not to let you move around like this, holding hands is not allowed. Shen Yan immediately broke free, feeling that Yang Fan had many crooked thoughts. Isn't that right, Mr. Shen? You're such a beautiful woman who keeps swaying in front of me all day, and I can't even hold hands. What kind of dating is this? Yang Fan immediately put on a look of disappointment and said. He really dares not kiss Shen Yan again. What's wrong with holding hands? Even if you don't let them hold hands when dating, how can you promote relationships? You others know that talking about relationships with cold-blooded female powerhouses like Shen Yan is temporarily difficult to develop, and can only start with intimate contact. As the saying goes, love grows over time. She doesn't believe that Shen Yan won't be attracted to her. By then, this so-called 1-month test period will be perfect for submitting papers. It seems like I've been wanting to see you all day. If you're afraid you can't hold back, it's okay not to see me. Shen Yan smiled proudly and was greatly praised by Yang Fan. There's no way, what women care most about is their appearance and attractiveness to men. Even her towering female CEO is the same. Seeing Yang Fan so uncontrollable to herself also satisfied her inner small heart. No, this is absolutely not possible. If I don't see you, I might die. Just like fish leaving the water, birds losing their wings, life is meaningless. Yang Fan continued to deceive. Shen Yan frowned slightly, feeling as if he had blown too much. Does this guy love himself so much? Why didn't you say it before? I didn't see at all that he had to do it himself. Mr. Shen, you also know how big the gap is between us. I never imagined you could be my girlfriend before, and I dare not have any ulterior motives towards you. But now it's different. Since you're my girlfriend, how can I not get excited? Taking another 10,000 steps back, if one day you break up with me, I'm afraid I'll be heartbroken. Only by creating some memories for us now, perhaps we can make up for the trauma in my heart then. Yang Fan continued to pretend to be a sorrowful man and deceive. After speaking, his gaze carefully turned around Shen Yan's face, wanting to see what expression Shen Yan had on his face. But this time Shen Yan couldn't help but freeze. Just when he first confirmed his relationship, this guy was already thinking of breaking up. Is it true that he is so terrifying that he lacks confidence? Hey! Thinking of this, Shen Yan felt that her father was right. It's okay for others to be so afraid of themselves, but Yang Fan, who deeply loves himself, is no exception. It is indeed necessary to change one's personality, otherwise it will really hurt the heart of a man who deeply loves oneself. Alright, it seems like you've suffered a lot. I promise you that in the future, before you want to act on me, you must first ask me if I am prepared. As long as I agree, I won't blame you. With a final pout, Shen Yan made a somewhat difficult promise. As soon as these words were spoken, Yang Fan was immediately dumbfounded. I didn't expect to deceive and succeed again. What is it that I am not a genius? Mr. Shen is not difficult to coax. It seems that it won't be difficult to get in touch with Shen Yan in the future. Especially Shen Yan accepts herself, as long as she doesn't make excessive demands, she will definitely not refuse. Thinking of this, Yang Fan looked up happily and confirmed again, Mr. Shen, as long as you agree, can I? Shen Yan blushed and shyly lowered her head. After she finished speaking, she felt very ashamed. I really don't know what kind of demon I'm possessed of, how could I agree to Yang Fan's rude request? She would definitely not agree before. Can I ask for your advice now? What can I ask for? Shen Yan's pretty face paused, feeling a bit regretful. I knew I had promised Yang Fan, so there must be no good thing. Look, just as I promised Yang Fan, I made a request. You really have thick skin. And when I thought about Yang Fan kissing and hugging me, there was almost nothing to ask for. Unless Yang Fan wants to. Shen Yan shook her head wildly. No, this is absolutely not possible. Even if she doesn't resist Yang Fan, she can't accept Yang Fan's unreasonable request. At this moment, Yang Fan opened his mouth with a smile on his face. Mr. Shen, can I ask you to give me a loving hug? Nanny. A hug of love. Surprisingly, it's not an insider. Shen Yan suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Moreover, she saw that Yang Fan only wanted a loving embrace, and the reason seemed reasonable. So, without much thought, I threw myself into Yang Fan's arms and hugged him. How about it? I'm satisfied this time. Mr. Shen, you are so kind. Yang Fan hugged Shen Yan in his arms, with a look of successful scheming on his face. Hee hee. My little mouth is quite sweet. Shen Yan closed her eyes happily and leaned in Yang Fan's arms to enjoy the warmth. But lying down, she realized something was wrong. Not right. This is not right. How did I proactively embrace Yang Fan? Didn't he refuse to hold hands? What? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Call me baby. Shen Yan can't hold on anymore. You are listening at novel full.audio. Realizing that she had been tricked by Yang Fan's tricks, Shen Yan immediately stole a glance at Yang Fan's face. As expected, Yang Fan had a cunning and successful expression on his face. The trick, it's all this guy's trick. Why is this guy so good at playing? It's really hard to defend against. Next time, be absolutely careful not to be so foolish. Otherwise, one day I'll be sold by this guy and still count the money for him. Have you had enough? After a moment of silence, Shen Yan pushed Yang Fan's chest open, blushing and organizing her makeup. I still want to hug, not enough. Yang Fan played a tactical prank. No, I don't agree this time, and I have to work now. I don't have time to accompany you now. Shen Yan couldn't agree anymore. She quickly changed her serious expression and returned to her desk on her side. Just thinking of myself accompanying Yang Fan here for a long time. It seems like I haven't done any work. I'm afraid the domestic stock market has turned upside down now. I can spend millions of minutes alone, how can I spend time with Yang Fan? Hee hee, I'm just joking. Look how anxious you are. Since it's okay, I'll leave first. I'll come find you later at noon. Seeing that Shen Yan would not give himself another chance, Yang Fan had no choice but to give up and wave, about to turn around and leave. But his words surprised Shen Yan. Hurry up and wave to stop him. Wait, why are you looking for me at noon? Yang Fan smiled and said, come and have dinner with you. Don't you think we should cultivate our relationship first? Otherwise, how will I face your parents? What if I reveal something? Cultivate a ghost-like relationship. You just crave me. This guy has really many tricks. Shen Yan rolled her eyes, but she didn't refuse. In fact, since being single these years, she has never had the opportunity to eat alone with a boy. And she felt that Yang Fan had already been given a chance, so she should take it seriously. Anyway, it's just a meal, just be careful of Yang Fan. At noon, gather in the parking lot downstairs and I'll take you to have Western food, Shen Yan quickly decided. Eating Western cuisine. It's truly Mr. Shen, he was so bold when he made a move. Yang Fan was secretly delighted for a moment, Probably if this matter were to spread, his colleagues would envy him to death. So he chuckled playfully and called out affectionately. "Don't worry, baby. This is our first date, I will definitely arrive on time, so I'll leave first. Goodbye." After finishing speaking, Yang Fan immediately left without giving Shen Yan a chance to get angry. What? What did he call himself just now? Bao Bei. Shen Yan had goosebumps all over her body, and her scalp went numb for a moment. Disgusting, this guy is too disgusting. How dare you call yourself that? Aren't you afraid to kill him yourself? Especially looking at the back of Yang Fan, who had already slipped away in advance, she realized that she had no way to deal with Yang Fan. It's over, it's over. Is this the feeling of falling in love with Xiao Jingtai? Sooner or later, this guy will lead to trouble. I can't hold on to it at all. Woo 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 woo. At this moment, manager Tang Gaoming is listening to the report from his subordinates in the securities department office. Boss Tang, that Yang Fan is now soaring to the sky like the sun. Last night, he was personally hosted and entertained by Mr. Shen. If this situation continues, he will eventually ride on your head and defecate. You need to prepare early. After listening to the report from his subordinate Xiao Lu, Tang Gaoming sneered with a fearless expression. Xiao Lu, are you too sensitive? Mr. Shen has always loved talents, and Yang Fan has also made some achievements. It is rightful to receive Mr. Shen's Jia Award. That's the way it is, but Yang Fan has only been in the company for half a year and has received such praise from Mr. Shen. Isn't it rising too quickly? Xiao Lu continued to arch beside him. So what's fast? He's from the investment department, so what's the deal with my securities department? If you have to worry, it's just that old guy Xie Wenyuan is worried. Tang Gaoming continued to disdain and even couldn't wait to see Xie Wenyuan's joke. After all, with Yang Fan being a talented person in the investment department, Xie Wenyuan's pressure as a boss is definitely not average. Moreover, with no achievements made by Xie Wenyuan in recent years, I am afraid that his status will be compromised. Xiao Lu shook his head but said disapprovingly. Boss, you can't underestimate this Yang Fan. I learned from the HR department that Yang Fan's university major is actually financial investment, and this major is his strength. If he can achieve such excellent performance in physical investment now, then if we give him financial investment, he can still do it. Once the performance is achieved, both our finance and investment departments will have to look at his face and act accordingly. Bang bang. As soon as these words were spoken, Tang Gaoming's pen in his hand instantly slipped down, causing a ripple in his heart. He confirmed again, really, is his major in financial investment. Xiao Lu nodded desperately and said, that's not Mr. Tang. Otherwise, could I worry about you like this? Upon seeing this, Tang Gaoming's eyes immediately flickered with a fierce expression, and his face was filled with a cold smile. Alright, Xiao Lu, go talk to Yang Fan and ask him if he is willing to transfer to our securities department. If you're willing, I'll make him a group leader. What? Xiao Lu was startled and said with a hint of jealousy, isn't that right, Mr. Tang? You actually want to promote him? Tang Gaoming waved his hand lightly and said insightfully. It's not promotion, it's called regulation. It's better for him to be under my watchful eye than in the investment department. I would never give him the day to ride on me. I see. Xiao Lu felt relieved and said, but what if he doesn't want to? Not willing. That's not my fault. Tang Gaoming shrugged and said, he either works for me or becomes my enemy. He has no other choice. Wokeo. Boss Tang, this is about to come up with a move. It seems that Yang Fan is going to cool down. Xiao Lu quickly nodded and waved away from the office. As soon as he left, Tang Gaoming's face also showed a confident smirk. Want to compete with me for a seat? Yang Fan, you'd better be honest. Otherwise, I have 10,000 ways to kill you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Yang Fan gone with the wind. Yes, I'm floating. You are listening at novel full.audio. After returning to investment. Originally, everyone thought Yang Fan would take a leave of absence today. After all, he was so drunk last night. But when Yang Fan persisted in working, everyone couldn't help but admire him a bit. Especially his best friends Li Cheng and Zhang Ji, both pulled him to care. Xiao Fan, why don't you rest well at home? What class are you coming to? Yeah, Xiao Fan, you're a big hero in our investment department right now. We can't let you get tired. No one will blame you for taking a day or two off. Yang Fan is a very dedicated person, especially after deciding to start dating Shen Yan. He has to work even harder. Otherwise, wouldn't he have to eat Shen Yan's soft rice? Although this soft rice is delicious, a man must have his own career, and he does not allow himself to fall into addiction. It's okay, don't you still have a few investment projects to work on? I'll come back to work after I wake up. After a faint wave of his hand, Yang Fanxian skillfully opened the computer at his workstation and began to pay attention to other investment plans in his hand. Look at our enlightenment, no wonder Mr. Shen admires you so much, Li Qing immediately thumbed up and praised. That's right, Xiaofan. Recently, Mr. Shen came here specifically to inquire about you. He even said that if you get drunk and don't come to work, he will give you a leave. It seems that Mr. Shen underestimated your pursuit of career, Zhang Zhiling said. But when he heard this in the ears of others, he just felt that Shen Yan was praising Yang Fan as a hero. But in Yang Fan's heart, he knew that Shen Yan was just starting a small game for himself. Mr. Shen just came specifically to find himself. No wonder she had that attitude towards herself just now. It seems that after last night, she had already made some decisions about herself, and just now she was indeed being reserved. It's also fortunate that I'm smart enough to know how to give Mr. Shen a step down. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made such a mistake by hitting and bumping into such a beautiful CEO. What a delightful sight. Ha ha ha. Just as the three of them were chatting, Xiao Lu from the securities department walked in from outside the office hall. He went straight to Yang Fan and politely called out to him, "Are you free?" "Yang Fan, our Tang boss has something to talk to you about." "Tang Gaoming. What is he looking for me for?" Yang Fan recognized the person at a glance and knew that it was Lu Wei, Tang Gaoming's henchman. However, he did not have a good impression of everyone in the securities department led by Lu Wei and Tang Gaoming. Apart from the investment department and securities department being the two core competitive departments of the company, there is also some personal grudges involved. Yang Fan was able to enter Goldman Sachs Capital because Xia Wenyuan personally selected and hired him at the job fair. And he has been able to develop so smoothly in the past 6 months thanks to working with such a good boss as Xia Wenyuan. Undoubtedly, Xia Wenyuan has a kind heart towards him. And Xia Wenyuan mentioned to him more than once in private about being bombarded by Tang Gaoming at a high-level meeting. So much so that Xia Wenyuan often couldn't lift his head, causing these subordinates to be bullied by the people in the securities department. So Yang Fan has long kept this grudge in his heart and vowed to help Xia Wenyuan recover it if there is a chance. Now that Lu Wei is representing Tang Gaoming to find him, he won't give any good looks. Alright, Lu Wei. What do I have to discuss with the people in your securities department? If there's nothing else, just leave first. I have something else to do. Why, Yang Fan, don't even our Tang boss give you face when he comes to you? You're just floating. Seeing being rejected, Lu Wei showed a displeased expression. What if it drifts? Yang Fan sneered and didn't take Lu Wei seriously. And his words aroused a wave of relief from everyone in the investment department. Pointing to Lu Wei on the side, he burst into laughter. Handsome Xiaofan, how dare you not bird Tang Gaoming? Damn it, I've been displeased with these people from the securities department for a long time. In the end, it's still Xiaofan who took the lead for everyone. I'm afraid only Xiaofan dares to criticize Tang Gaoming in the whole company now. After all, Xiaofan is the big shot in front of Mr. Shen, which can provoke trouble. Lu Wei, it's not easy for him to go back this time. Haha, as soon as these words reached Lu Wei's ears, it made his face pitch black. I didn't expect to come over and pass a message, and I was even laughed at by someone. However, he also knew that he couldn't afford to offend Yang Fan, so he could only speak out forcefully and say, Yang Fan, don't be too crazy. Tang Laoda asked you to talk about something important. If you don't give Tang Laoda this face, just wait to accept Tang Laoda's anger. Angry, can he still bite me? Yang Fan directly retorted and waved his hand to greet him. Go back and tell your Tang boss, I don't have much to talk about with him. Don't come to me if you have nothing to do in the future. I'm not familiar with him. Not familiar. Do you understand? Yang Fan, this guy. It's completely lawless, isn't it? Lu Wei gritted his teeth heavily, knowing that Yang Fan was driving him away. You wait for Yang Fan, Tang Laoda will definitely not spare you. Let's wait and see. Immediately, he let out a helpless roar and turned around with a gloomy expression to avoid being used as a laughing stock here. Haha, the excuse of unfamiliarity is really amazing. Is Lu Wei feeling extremely angry? Watching Lu Wei's embarrassed escape, the whole room suddenly burst into enthusiastic cheers. Cowhide. Little Fan Cowhide. It's so beautiful, Xiaofan. Xiaofan, my grandmother doesn't even help me cross the road, so I'll give you one. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Little Rogue, Still the Bad Kind. You are listening at novel full.audio. A few minutes later. Lu Wei returned to the investment department and explained everything he had just done to Tang Gaoming in detail. Originally, Tang Gaoming thought Yang Fan was a smart person, but he didn't expect Yang Fan to be so disrespectful. Immediately, he slapped the table and angrily said, You're so good, Yang Fan. Even if you beat a dog, it depends on the owner. You're trying to confront me. Woo boss, you have to avenge me. I was embarrassed in the investment department just now. Lu Wei looked aggrieved. Don't worry, wait for me. I'll go find Mr. Shen to judge. If he dares to bully someone in our securities department, I will make him regret it for a lifetime. Tang Gaoming immediately gave Lu Wei a heavy pat on the shoulder and didn't say much, quickly leaving the office. Haha, Yang Fan, we have no grievances or grudges. But this time you have made me embarrassed, I must make you look good. Boss Tang personally stepped forward this time, you're doomed. Lu Weixin smiled comfortingly and secretly looked forward to getting ready to watch the good play. Soon. Tang Gaoming angrily arrived at the CEO's office and found Shen Yan to give a report. Report to Mr. Shen, I have something I want to report to you. Say it. Shen Yan sat behind his desk, looking at the stock market trends on the 4 monitors in front of him, with a cold and aloof expression as usual. Seeing that Shen Yan was very busy with work, Tang Gaoming didn't dare to talk nonsense and just spoke with enthusiasm. It's like this, Mr. Shen. I had some work matters that I wanted to discuss with Yang Fan, so I sent Xiao Lu to find Yang Fan. But Yang Fan not only did not cooperate with Xiao Lu, but also led the investment department to openly mock Xiao Lu. No matter what, I am Yang Fan's superior, and Xiao Lu also represents me. How could Yang Fan be so arrogant? I earnestly request Mr. Shen to punish Yang Fan as a warning to others. What? Did Yang Fan do such a thing? Shen Yan's pretty face trembled as she couldn't help but shift her gaze away from the monitor. I can't believe that just after confirming their relationship with Yang Fan, Yang Fan caused trouble for himself. And it's not good to provoke anyone, but to provoke the company's veteran Tang Gaoming. This person was promoted by her father, and even she has to give in 3 points. Headache. Shen Yan feels a headache. However, she is a more rational person who thinks that she cannot just listen to what Tang Gaoming says. So immediately picked up the landline and connected the internal phone. Manager Xie, please bring Yang Fan to my office. After speaking, she hung up the phone with an irresistible dignity and sighed. Hey! Can't this guy calm down a bit? I just played with myself in the office, and now I'm going to provoke Tang Gaoming. What should I do if I really do as Tang Gaoming said later? Are you really going to punish Yang Fan? Seeing Shen Yan fall silent, Tang Gaoming mistakenly thought she was angry and felt a wave of pride in his heart. In his opinion, Shen Yan has always been impartial in public affairs. Even if Yang Fan has recently made a lot of money for the company, Shen Yan will never favor Yang Fan. Even if it were a deity descending to earth this time, no one could save Yang Fan. Hee. People who oppose themselves will never have a good ending. After a moment of silence, Xia Wenyuan received instructions and brought Yang Fan to the CEO's office. As he was reading documents in the office just now, he didn't know what was happening outside. But as soon as he heard Shen Yan's tone of voice not being good, he felt something was wrong. After arriving here, he found that Tang Gaoming was also here, which made him even more uneasy. Mr. Shen, Yang Fan is here. Immediately, with a look of awe, Xia Wenyuan led Yang Fan forward to report. But Yang Fan remained silent, just staring at Shen Yan with a smile on his face. And when he looked at Shen Yan, he found that she was also peeking at him, and his heart was filled with joy. It's really great to be able to see your CEO girlfriend anytime, anywhere. He didn't even notice that Tang Gaoming was here for a moment. Oh my goodness. What is this lecherous embryo staring at me for? I won't be thinking about those dirty things again, will I? Rogue, don't you know the convergence point? With so many people watching, he's not afraid of being seen. I really convinced him. Seeing Yang Fan's impure gaze, Shen Yan immediately shyly blamed him in her heart. Then he took a deep breath and coldly greeted Xia Wenyuan, Manager Xia, first. Before she could finish speaking, Tang Gaoming next to him suddenly stood up and pointed at Yang Fan, shouting loudly. Bold! What are you looking at, Yang Fan? How could you be so rude to Mr. Shen? Don't you know that when meeting with Mr. Shen, you should bow to him? Xia Wenyuan, you really taught a good subordinate, huh? In the end, Tang Gaoming even scolded Xia Wenyuan. Imprudent. What is Xiao Fan doing? Xia Wenyuan was startled and immediately looked up at Yang Fan. It doesn't seem like it's okay, but it startled him. I'll be good. Xiao Fan, this is in Gone Gods and Demons. Surprisingly, he stared straight at Mr. Shen and even smiled at him. Even if Shen is always a first-class beauty, you still need to restrain yourself. This is not seeking death, what is it? So in order to save Yang Fan's life, he quickly tugged at his clothes, hoping that Yang Fan could be honest. Unexpectedly, Yang Fan suddenly woke up and found Tang Gaoming next to him. Upon hearing Tang Gaoming shouting at himself, he directly retorted, what's the point? Manager Tang, when did I become rude to Mr. Shen? Don't give me such unfounded accusations. Bastard. Surprisingly, they still refused to admit it. Tang Gaoming scolded, dare Yang Fan, I saw you looking at Mr. Shen. Isn't that considered impolite? Have you really taken Mr. Shen seriously? Yes, of course I have taken Mr. Shen seriously, otherwise how could I look at him? Yang Fan explained with a smile and then joked, and you call this impolite? Isn't it too far-fetched? You. Tang Gaoming was momentarily speechless, but unexpectedly rudely refuted. What a special thing. Although he was concerned about Mr. Shen's beauty, he said it was a good thing. This kid's mouth is too eloquent, isn't it? Pushy. Originally, Shen Yan was quite worried about Yang Fan. But seeing Yang Fan so capable of reversing black and white, leaving Tang Gaoming speechless, she couldn't help but secretly laugh. This guy really talks nonsense. No wonder he has such thick skin and dares to cling on to himself. You are really a little rascal who doesn't follow the routine when playing cards. No, it's a little hooligan. It's still the kind that's bad. However, Tang Gaoming was also someone who had seen big scenes before. Seeing that Yang Fan couldn't speak well, he could only turn around and seek advice from Shen Yan. Mr. Shen, take a look and see what attitude Yang Fan has. Now you should believe what I just said. Please make sure to punish Yang Fan severely. Such people cannot be easily spared. Immediately, Shen Yan put away her smiling face and said with a straight attitude, Attitude. What attitude? He was rude to you just now and kept staring at you, Tang Gaoming quickly hinted, thinking that Shen Yan had not noticed Yang Fan's wrongdoing. Oh. Is there something else? Shen Yan asked in a daze. Yes, of course there is. I really saw it. Tang Gaoming quickly nodded and asked Yang Fanji, Yang Fan, you just admitted it. You won't change your mind now, will you? That's right, I did just look at Mr. Shen. Yang Fan shrugged and nodded casually. As soon as these words were spoken, Tang Gaoming immediately rejoiced. Yang Fan, you're doomed. This was delivered by you yourself, don't blame me for being too aggressive. Haha, Mr. Shen, did you hear me? This kid admitted it. Isn't he still rude to you? Please make sure to sanction him and give him a long memory. Oh no. How did Xiao Fan admit it? This is being caught by Mr. Shen. Even if you don't die, you have to peel off your skin. Xia Wenyuan never expected Yang Fan to be so brave and dare to admit this matter in front of Shen Yan. He immediately covered his face and didn't dare to look at what was happening next. It's very tragic, the picture must be very tragic and bloody. At this moment, Shen Yan suddenly raised the corner of her mouth and spoke with a light smile. It's okay, just watch it. I also saw him earlier. Am I being rude too? What? What? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Shen Yan's domineering protection of her husband, love. You are listening at novel full.audio. What the hell? Did you hear me right? How could Mr. Shen not blame Yang Fan? Are you still using yourself as a metaphor? Suddenly, Shen Yan's words fell, and both Xia Wenyuan and Tang Gaoming were collectively confused. Even if 10,000 brain cells were dead, they wouldn't have expected Shen Yan to say that. What about the agreed high-cold female CEO? Is that all? Is that it? After hearing Shen Yan's words, Yang Fan's heart also calmed down a lot. That's right. Just now, he did have a gambling element and wanted to see what attitude Shen Yan had towards him in front of his subordinates. Although Shen Yangang's words were impeccable, they were powerless to refute. But he could tell that Shen Yan had an element of protecting himself. Just this one, he fell in love directly. In the future, whoever dares to talk about Shen Yan's cold-blooded behavior will be in a hurry with him. My girlfriend is very understanding. Wait, Mr. Shen. Did you misunderstand what I meant? I said Yang Fan's rudeness towards you is not just about looking at you. But it's him peeping at you. After a moment of silence, Tang Gaoming quickly regained his senses and gave Shen Yan a prompt in a hurry. He doesn't believe it, he doesn't believe Shen Yan will really ignore Yang Fan's impoliteness. It is estimated that Shen Yan did not notice Yang Fan's impure gaze. As long as the truth is told, Shen Yan will definitely not spare Yang Fan. Peeping at me. Shen Yan's pretty face sank. I'm going crazy. Shen is going crazy. Yang Fan, you have nothing to say this time. Tang Gaoming was secretly pleased and had already felt the chill emanating from Shen Yan's body. Unexpectedly, Shen Yan said again, okay, Yang Fan, there won't be another time. I'll forgive you. Chow 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 chow. Leaving the big picture. Knowing that Yang Fan was peeping, did Mr. Shen just forget about it? Tang Gaoming was immediately dumbfounded. Even when he secretly looked at Yang Fan, his face was filled with pride. Bastard. Yang Fan, you bastard. What kind of bad luck did you have to step on to gain such tolerance from Mr. Shen? Hey. It seems that Mr. Shen is still silent in the joy of Yang Fan making a lot of money for the company. Otherwise, it's impossible to spare Yang Fan like this. Yes, yes. It must be like this, it must be. Meanwhile, Xia Wenyuan on the side was also stunned by Shen Yan's operation. However, his thoughts are not much different from Tang Gaoming's, and he thinks that Yang Fan is just making contributions. Otherwise, if Yang Fan had 100 lives today, it wouldn't be enough to die. So seeing this matter come to an end, fearing that Shen Yan would seek further accountability from Yang Fan, he quickly changed the topic. By the way, Mr. Shen, I wonder why you asked me to bring Yang Fan here. Our investment department has been quite busy with that new energy case recently, and Yang Fan is the person in charge of this case. He's not in the investment department, I'm afraid he'll be in chaos. Finally, Xia Wenyuan secretly lifted Yang Fan's hand. He also put in a lot of effort for his beloved disciple, whom he regarded as a closed-door disciple. Well, this is Yang Fan. Manager Tang said that you led your department colleagues to openly mock him. Is that the case? As soon as Shen Yan brought up the matter, he quickly put a light smile on the corner of his mouth and looked at Yang Fan with a serious expression, asking. Of course, in her heart, she naturally hoped that Yang Fan had not done this. Otherwise, no matter how much she protects the calf, she won't be able to favor Yang Fan. After all, as an entrepreneur and manager, Shen Yan is expected to be upright in public affairs. No, how could that be? Why am I mocking him? Yang Fan shook his head and denied. That's easy to handle. Shen Yan immediately breathed a sigh of relief and showed a rare smile. Although Yang Fan has been harassing herself a lot these past few days, she also thinks that Yang Fan is a bit unruly. But seeing that Yang Fan is still very responsible in the company makes her feel that she has not misjudged anyone. At least being honest is her first criterion for choosing a boyfriend. Then she quickly looked at Tang Gaoming and asked, what did you say about this? Lying. Mr. Shen is lying. He clearly mocked me, and everyone in the investment department can testify, as can my subordinate Xiao Lu. Tang Gaoming never expected Yang Fan to deny it, so he immediately pointed at Yang Fan and shouted loudly. Oh, really? How did he mock you? Shen Yan continued to ask. He said he's not familiar with me, Tang Gaoming said honestly, but he didn't dare to add insult to injury. But as soon as these words were spoken, Xia Wenyuan burst into laughter. I thought something was going on. Old Tang, are you mocking you with your discipline? It's too much of a fuss, isn't it? Yang Fan was even more amused, not expecting Tang Gaoming to use this matter to slander him in front of Shen Yan. He couldn't help but chuckle and said, no, Manager Tang. When I say I'm not familiar with you, it's called mocking you. So, I'm not familiar with Mr. Shen either. Isn't it okay to mock Mr. Shen? Even if you want to mess with me, can you use your brain? Spicy next door. This guy is using Mr. Shen as a shield again. That's really despicable. Since Tang Gaoming dared to say so, he was naturally prepared. He explained, Yang Fan, don't talk nonsense. I have seen you many times, and our two departments also have cooperation. How could you be unfamiliar with me, especially since I am your boss and a senior executive of the company? Isn't it a mockery of me when you say you are not familiar with me? Have you really taken me as a leader to heart? Damn it. This guy can even talk better than himself. How could I have encountered such a strange thing myself? Yang Fan shook his head helplessly and was too lazy to talk to him. He didn't believe that Shen Yan would blame himself for saying, unfamiliar. That's right. Shen Yan was actually amused by Tang Gaoming's words, but she didn't laugh out loud. She only knows Tang Gaoming if she can use unfamiliarity as an excuse to say that someone has been mocked. You say that this person is laughing but not laughing. And Shen Yan can also see it this time. Where did Tang Gaoming come to find himself to reason with? It's clear that he's targeting Yang Fan. If it's really official business and Tang Gaoming is reasonable, she will definitely not favor Yang Fan. But this time Tang Gaoming caused trouble for no reason. As a company executive, he abused his power against his subordinates. As the CEO of the company, she won't sit idly by. Moreover, the person being targeted is still her boyfriend, and she, who protects the calf, absolutely agrees. You're joking internationally. Can Shen Yan's man be easily bullied? No one in the world can bully Yang Fan except oneself. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.